Next, we'll talk about the implications of what this law means to us as homeowners. And the DOR is currently only accepting biofuel that's derived from waste feedstock. They want to see a reduction in greenhouse gases and in waste. So this is the perfect thing, is to take your waste product and to make energy out of it. So this is the way the law states right now. Now the DOER is the Department of Energy Resources, and they may delay the implementation dates for the period of time which it determines in consultation with the Department of Environmental Protection and the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs, that providing sufficient supplies of the required eligible petroleum distillate substitute fuel to end user consumers is not feasible due to lack of supply, lack of blending facilities, or unreasonable costs. So it's their prerogative to say that we're going to delay the implementation. Okay, it could happen. Gasoline currently is blended at 10% of ethanol. Okay, and ethanol is typically made from corn and soybean, usually. Same sort of deal. It's a substitute for MBTE, which is an octane enhancer. You know, since we stopped using lead in our fuel, we needed to go to something. It was MBTE for a while, and then it became ethanol. And they're blending 10%, and there's a movement to get it up to 20%. So we're kind of behind gasoline on this, but we have our reasons. They had their reasons for needing to be blending before we did. Most Massachusetts distributors have biofuel available. Most terminals around, whether they be in Rhode Island or Maine or New Hampshire, have biofuel available. So we've been blending it ourselves since last fall. Not consistently, but as supplies were available to us, we've been blending it. Many dealers are already blending it voluntarily, and some are blending it without knowing. As the supplies of this product build up around our state, then distributors, the wholesalers of this supply, the Gulfs and the Mobiles and so on, will blend a certain amount of this product and just sell it as such. Typically, if I go for a 2% blend, it costs me 1/2 cent more for this fuel currently. So as we get more into it, it's expected to have no excess cost. So that's what's happening with the biofuel right now. It's coming up July 2010, in a few months, and I expect, from what I hear from our organization, that they're on track. So if something were to change, then they have the right to postpone that. I'm going to segue right into low sulfur heating oil, because this is another movement that is afoot to try to improve the fuel, as well as a lot of other benefits for the environment and the consumer. There's currently 2 fuels sold as low sulfur, okay? And I have one of them right here, a small sample of ultra low sulfur diesel. We'll pull this out of our truck today, okay? There's no dye in this product. It's basically kind of greenish, but this is the way heating oil has always looked over the years, up until recently, up until maybe 10, 15 years ago. Your heating oil would have looked like this. Now, there's no way to tell if this is low sulfur, or ultra low sulfur, or high sulfur. You just don't know that particular part. What the dye will tell you is whether or not you paid a tax. So if this is undyed, then you were supposed to have paid a tax on this. This is on over-the-road fuel for buses, trucks, whatever vehicles will go over the road. And this is typically less than 15 parts per million of sulfur. Okay, and that's huge. To take that much sulfur out of the fuel is big as far as what this will do to the environment, improving the environment as well as improving people's health, who have respiratory issues. I'd just like to pass that along so you can take a look at that. So there are two low sulfur fuels. One is the over-the-road taxed diesel, ultra low sulfur diesel fuel, and the other is a low sulfur diesel, which is used for off-road type vehicles, ships, trains, farm equipment, construction vehicles. Up until a couple of years ago, we could sell to these people our regular heating oil. It was legal to do. But they changed the law because they want to slowly take the sulfur out, and this is where they started. They started with the vehicles and the transportation and construction industry. And so this product is between 15 and 500 parts per million. And this product would look just like this. It would have a dye because you don't pay a tax for that fuel for running a train or farm equipment. They don't have to pay the tax, but they do have to have the low sulfur. And it does have to be documented. Okay, I can't legally go and put heating oil in a farmer's tractor unless, I can't do it. And I can be found out, let's say, by their bills and so on. So there's a paper trail that they can follow so that, they'll be sure that I'm following the law. Now, we can get into high sulfur heating oil, and that's this product right here. Okay, there's no tax paid on it, so it's dyed. And typically, I'd like to pass that along too, the standard is that can have 5,000 parts per million of sulfur within that. Typically, what we're finding is that it's between 2,000 and 2,500 parts per million. And that's because of all of the low sulfur fuel that's available that gets blended in with heating oil. Okay, so that does happen. And so what we typically find is we're half of that 5,000 parts per million standard that was voluntarily set by the industry. Now, you've heard of sweet crude and sour crude. Sweet crude is a petroleum product that has very little sulfur in it, and sour has a lot of sulfur. So when people talk about, there's all this extra oil available in all these different places, the problem with that extra oil often is that nobody wants it. It's got too much sulfur in it. So just be aware that sulfur is a part of some products. We get a lot of our fuel from Venezuela. Venezuela has a lot of light sweet crude. So does Nigeria, where we also get oil.